What's going on, everybody? Welcome and welcome back to my channel, Bareface Diamond. My name is Ezra. If you are new here, and in today's video, I want to share with you a little bit about my healing journey. As you know, as you are aware, excuse me, when I started this channel, at the behest of God. He was pushing me to begin this conversation, or directing me, guiding me to begin this conversation about healing. And as I've stated in the one or two videos, I am not a licensed therapist, counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, none of that. I am not in the clinical field, medical field. I'm not in any of that. I'm just somebody that went through. I'm somebody that yeah, went through it, and I've come on the other side of it, and I just want to share my story. Um, it all started, well, April of 2021. I was 40. This was after my 45th birthday. I had a nervous breakdown. Okay. People can say a mental breakdown, they can say a panic attack, anxiety attack, nervous breakdown. Is all the same things because I exhibited the same exact symptoms for all of that. But I had a nervous breakdown. However, because I never experienced it, I didn't know exactly what it was. The first breakdown I had was at 1 o'clock in the morning. This was on a Wednesday, I believe. 1 o'clock in the morning. It was April. Something is telling me it was April 28th, but that may have been the day that I reached out for a therapist. So I'm gonna put the correct date down here, but it was somewhere around April 28th at 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up to feeling my bones shaking, and I was holding myself like this to keep myself from shaking so hard that I would fall off the bed. That went on until like 3:15 in the morning, and I ended up falling back to sleep. And when I woke up at like 4:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, something like that, I knew something was wrong, because normally when I would get up in the morning at that time, when I was living in the apartment at that time, I would get up, I would turn on the television, I would grab my cell phone, go in the bathroom. I always had to have some kind of noise going on, but I would go in the bathroom, turn a sermon on, and go ahead on and do what I need to do. Brush my teeth, take a shower, that whole 9 yards. I did all of that without turning on the television, without turning on the sermon, and I thought that I was going to start crying in the shower, but I didn't. My next memory is of me in my kitchen grabbing my lunch, and then the next memory, I was closing my apartment door. My next memory after that was arriving to work. No, I was walking down the stairs of my apartment. My next memory after that, I was sitting at my desk at work. I don't know how I got there. And the reason I'm telling you about the memories is because I don't remember anything in between that. I only remember those pieces. Once I got to work, I don't remember anything prior to 9 a.m. At 9 a.m., I had another nervous breakdown, and it again lasted for 2 hours. And during that time of me having that nervous breakdown, I could not sit still. I was up and down, I was moving around, and I was just telling myself, go to the bathroom, put some water on your face, put some water in your hands, some cold water to try to, snap myself out of it. And while I was in the bathroom, I heard this voice tell me, when you walk out of here, you are going to run down the hallway where the classrooms were, because I was at work at this time. You're going to run down the hallway hollering and screaming, and then you're going to run all the way back, and then you're going to go out the front door hollering and screaming, and you're going to fall in the parking lot, rocking back and forth like a baby, hollering and screaming. And I was telling myself I can't do that because they're going to call the people on me. I'm not doing that. I mean, I was literally hearing a voice tell me this. So I come out the bathroom and I'm hearing this voice telling me to do it, do it, do it. And I'm fighting it because I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. So when you come out of the bathroom, the front office is right across from the uh from the bathrooms in the lobby. And when you come out the bathroom, and if I'm coming back to my office, I will walk, I will come out the bathroom and kind of make a little slight turn, and I will walk straight. Going to my office, I would have to do a left. But I felt the urge of my hands balling up and my arms going up to go right to start running. And when I noticed that I was getting ready to start to turn right, I snatched myself and went left and ran right into my office, and I sat on my hands. And I sat there, sat on my hands, and I got up and sat on my hands again. It was just like I slammed myself on my hands to sit down. And I was like, I was shaking my head, and I kept hearing the voice tell me, no, you're going to go out. You're going to go out there and you're going to run. You're going to start hollering and screaming. You're going to do all this. Well, after I sat on my hands, I was up and down, y'all. I kept sitting on my hands. I kept touching other stuff because I could not get rid of the voices. I could not get rid of the 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 shaking that I was feeling on the inside. Somebody had came into the break room, and as they walked out of the break room into the main office, they just started talking to me. And unbeknownst to them, I was having this nervous breakdown. But by me trying to focus on what they were saying, it ended. The nervous, but everything just stopped. And it was just like I was back to normal, but nobody noticed anything. After that conversation, which lasted maybe about 3, 4 minutes, um, I said, okay, this is not right. Something, I don't know what's going on. So I researched what had just occurred, the symptoms, from earlier in the morning, because it was the exact same ones. The difference is I was in the bed, so I didn't get up, and I wasn't jumping up and down and moving around, but I was doing all of that at work. So that's when I looked up where it said, nervous breakdown, mental breakdown, panic attack, anxiety attack. It was all saying that. I was like, okay. And then the next day, which was a Thursday, I was at work and it was lunchtime. I grabbed my keys and my phone and I went to my car. Usually during lunch, we have people in and out of the building, coming in and out of the parking lot. Especially if it's a nice day, if they see you outside, they want to, I hate to say it, but they want to disturb you. But this was a God ordained day because it was a very nice day outside, and not a soul came out of the building, not a soul went into the building, not a soul came in the parking lot or out. Nobody disturbed me at this time, and this was the time that I needed to express myself to God. I just had to let it all out. And I don't advise people to do this, but I was at my wits' end. I was done. I challenged God. I mean, I was sitting there. I was like, God, I know you're real. I know you love me, and this and this. And I was going through the whole thing. And then I went through, if you love me, why you got me going through all of this? Why am I going through this? I feel like I'm cracking up. I feel like I'm cracking up. I feel like I'm touched. I mean, I was going through the motions. And then I started having my David moment, just going back and forth with God, telling God I love you, and just loving on God and thanking God. And then on the other hand, I'm cussing God out, like, what you doing? You see all this going on, and you ain't doing nothing. You just whatever. And then I challenged him, and I told God, I said, I need you to help me. If you love me like you say you do, if you are real like you say you are, and I do believe you are real, you would help me right now. I said, you got 20 minutes because I know there's a train that's coming behind my building, and I'm ready to go park my car on the train tracks because I can't do this no more. Y'all, I went from thinking of running my car into a building, running my car off the freeway. I, I was I was there. I was there. I just couldn't do it anymore. And God met me right where I was at. And he met me right where I was at. He was his spirit just fell, and he was like, pull the visor down. So I pulled my visor down to look. I'm looking in the back. You know how I don't have kids, but you know how you have kids and they're real little and they're quiet in the back seat and they're quiet. So for you to not scare them when you turn around, you pull that visor down and you're looking, or you move your rearview mirror. But God strictly told me to pull my visor down. So I pulled the visor down, and he said, tell me what you see. And I said, I can't do it. I could never look at myself in the eye. Um, I could never look at myself, and I said, I can't do it. He said, yes, you can. I said, no, God, I can't do it. He said, yes, you can. You can do it. So the way that I did it was I looked myself in the eye, but I looked past me. I looked as though I was looking at Jesus, and I'm telling Jesus what I see. And I told him, I said, I see somebody that's full of shame, somebody that's full of guilt, somebody that is unworthy, that is unlikable, that's unlovable, that's useless, that's fat, that nobody likes, nobody's going to care about. It just all types of negative stuff. And when I stopped, he said, are you done? And I said, yes. And he said, I didn't create you that way. I don't see you like that. And he said, everything that you just said that you see is because you believe what somebody told you. He said, I don't make that. And he said, what I see is the complete opposite of what you see. I don't make junk. I don't make that. Somebody told you something out of their own hurt and you believed it. And I said, God, well, this was somebody that was supposed to be a parent to me. You know what I mean? Even though it was a step parent. He said, still, where in my word did I tell you to trust anybody? And I was like, God, but this is a step, this is a parent, this is an elder. I'm supposed to. He said, no. Where in my word did I tell you to trust other people? He said, there's nowhere in my word I tell you to trust other people, but my word says to trust me. And I will direct you. I will guide you. I will lead you. I said, okay, I couldn't argue with God. And then he also told me that he said, I needed you to get to this space. He said, because I knew this time you were for real. This is why I answered. This is why I came to you now. Because the other times you really were not for real. He said, but I could tell you were for real right now because you are really broke down. You are really, really broken. Your spirit is broken. Your heart is broken. Your mind is broken. And he said, I'm here. Just do what I tell you to do, and you're going to be just fine. So he told me to go back in, go throw some water on my face, get my eyes as clear as possible because they started to water, but there was no tears coming out of my eyes. My eyes were just watering. So I threw water on my face. I washed my hands. I grabbed some water and I sat at my computer and he said, now let me do what I need to do. And the Lord helped me find a therapist. I know that's hard for some people to believe, but God does work through other people as well. And he helped me find a therapist. And when I found that therapist, we had a consultation, 30-minute consultation for free. And then we scheduled my first appointment. And my first appointment was May 12th, 2021. And in the next part of this video, I will tell you how those sessions went. So that is the start of my healing journey. That is the start of my breakthrough. With that, I bid you adieu until the next part. You will see the same hookup, but I'll see you in the next part of the video.